Good Monday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for May the 27th. Today, we are reading together the 64th Psalm. Psalm number 64 is titled by the translators of my Bible, Protection from Evildoers. The superscription is very brief, only tells us that it is for the choir director, a Psalm of David. So, no specific historical context is given to us concerning the background of this psalm, and that's okay because this is a psalm that really puts a nice bow on this section of psalms that we've been reading through over the last few weeks. I haven't mentioned this, I don't think, until this point, and I apologize for doing that. I guess I must have just missed it in the particular resources that I'm reading along with these psalms. But this psalm is the last of a series of psalms, about 14 psalms that focus specifically on deliverance. Beginning with Psalm 51 and going through Psalm 64, the focus and emphasis has certainly been on deliverance. And maybe you even recognize that without me having mentioning that reality. Hopefully, you have good Bible readers that we try to be. We want to pick up on certain themes and ideas that show up time and time again, especially in the Psalms. We can kind of see the organizational method behind this section, it seems, just to put these Psalms that all have this common theme together. So, this Psalm really puts a nice bow again on this section of deliverance psalms, and it is again very general in nature. There is not a historical context here, but it could be applied then to many different contexts, many different situations that David might have found himself in, or even we, as we relate to this psalm, would be able to find ourselves in as well. So let me get the text up on the screen. Let me put my phone on do not disturb. That way I don't get any text or anything like that. And let me get the text up on the screen and we will read together here. Psalm 64. Psalm 64 again. The translators, my Bible, render it or title it Protection from Evildoers. This is for the choir director, a Psalm of David. Psalm 64, beginning in verse number 1. God, hear my voice when I am in anguish. Protect my life from the terror of the enemy. Hide me from the scheming of wicked people, from the mob of evildoers. From the mob of evildoers who sharpen their tongues like swords and aim bitter words like arrows, shooting from concealed places at the blameless. They shoot at him and suddenly, they shoot at him suddenly and are not afraid. They adopt an evil plan. They talk about hiding traps and say, who will see them? They devise crimes and say, we have perfected a secret plan. The inner man and the heart are mysterious. But God will shoot them with arrows. Suddenly, they will be wounded. They will be made to stumble. Their own tongues work against them. All who see them will shake their heads. Then everyone will fear and will tell about God's work, for they will understand what he has done. The righteous one rejoices in Yahweh and takes refuge in him. All those who are upright in hearts will offer praise. Psalm number 64. Again, a psalm that could be applied to many different situations, but a psalm that surely was close to David's heart. We don't know, again, the writing of the psalm, but again, a psalm that would apply to David most certainly. It begins as most psalms of lament do, and this is a psalm of lament. I don't think I mentioned that already, and I apologize. This is a psalm of lament that I believe shifts into a psalm of praise, specifically with the last verse. I mean, it talks about praise very specifically, so I think we have to throw in that element of praise. But there's an element of lament here where David, once again, as the author finds himself in a difficult position, having many enemies, having very scary and very capable enemies of doing a lot of damage. But I specifically love how this psalm has strong elements of reversal in it. What I mean by that is what we're going to notice as we work our way through the psalm is that many of the things that David speaks about the evil person doing, kind of their scheme or their plan or things like that, God is going to flip on its head and actually use against them. So let's see if we can notice that as we walk through this, work our way and walk our way through this text. God, hear my voice when I am in anguish. Protect my life from the terror of the enemy. Hide me from the scheming of wicked people. So there is a request here from David, as we've seen multiple times, that God would hear him. God would hear him. And just think for a moment about I don't want to say the absurdity of this request, but in some ways, again, from our perspective as limited people, it might be an absurd request that God or that David would have maybe the audacity, but really the courage and the confidence to ask God, Yahweh, maker of heaven and earth, who has no beginning, who has no end, to ask him to ask Yahweh to look upon David out of all the people that are on the earth at that time, for him to look upon him and to hear what he has to say. Now, what type of situation would cause David to do this? Well, a moment whenever he is in anguish. And what he asks from David is protection for his life from the terror of the enemy, to be hidden from the scheming of wicked people. Some connections here. The anguish is caused by the terror of the enemy. How often are our sufferings, are they rooted in fear? The fear of the enemy, the terror of the enemy. The idea, I think, behind a lot of this is just help me to not be afraid in these moments of terror. Help to release the anguish and the pain that I'm feeling in this moment. Hide me from the scheming of wicked people, from the mob of evildoers. That the idea of hiding is something that we've seen before as well. But I want us to think back to the story that we read in 2 Kings chapter 11. Remember, Joash is who is going to be king, is hidden away from evil Athaliah, who is going to wipe out the lineage of David. How he is hidden away there from the scheming of wicked people and the mob of evildoers, led by this very wicked woman. So again, focus especially on the idea of hiding, concealment. These ideas are going to pop up a number of times within the psalm. Well, what do we read in verses 3-6 about the enemy? Well, they sharpen their tongues like swords. They aim bitter words like arrows, shooting from concealed places at the blameless. Shooting from concealed places at the blameless. They shooting him suddenly, and they are not afraid. The evil people are not afraid. There's no fear of opposition. There's no fear of retribution. They adopt an evil plan. They talk about hiding traps. Remember, David earlier asked to be hidden by God. Now here we see the enemies talking about hiding traps and saying, who will see them, that they won't see these traps and they'll fall into them. They devise crimes and say, we have perfected a secret plan, or we are ready with this secret plan. Again, this secret plan, this hidden, concealed plan. And the inner man and the heart are mysterious, the concealed wickedness within the heart of these individuals. So notice these themes that we see so far. We see hiding being a theme, we see fear being a theme, or the lack of fear being a theme, and we see just attacking, hurting others being a theme. So we see these enemies, verses 3-6. And again, they're all thinking that they're able to do this without being seen. They're able to attack suddenly from concealments. But here's the reality of it. That is revealed, pun intended, in verses 7 and 8, that God does see. God does see what these wicked people are doing. God will, notice the reversal of the situation here, that God will shoot them with arrows. Remember earlier it was the enemies. Verse number 3 talks about bitter words like arrows, but God's going to be the one shooting arrows. Suddenly, verse number 4, they shoot at him suddenly, but here it is God who is suddenly shooting at them, and they will be wounded. They will be made to stumble, whereas they had these hiding traps that they hope the blameless person would stumble upon. But no, it's the wicked who are going to stumble. Then verse number 8, their own tongues work against them. They have bitter words like arrows, but that's actually going to hurt them. And notice the culmination of it then at the end of verse number 8. All who see them will shake their heads. They think, again, previously they are concealed, but number one, God sees them. And whenever God does bring retribution, then everybody's going to see them, and everybody's going to shake their heads at them, saying, oh, they thought they could get away with it. And notice what is going to come as a result of this then in verse number 9. Then everyone will fear. Everyone will fear. Remember, this psalm begins with David wanting God to help him not be afraid, to help him not fear. We see from the enemies that they're not afraid of anything. They think they're just going to get away with whatever they want to. But everyone will fear. And they will tell about God's work, or they will understand what he has done. These who fear are going to learn from the mistakes of the evil people, of the evil persons, and who they're going to fear above all is God and his, again, judgment and retribution. So this hiding is reversed. They are no longer hidden. God sees. This fear that they did not feel, they're probably going to feel in the retribution, and others are going to feel toward God. And this attack then that they're hoping to levy against others, God actually levies against them. So again, just a great reversal, an incredible reversal that God pulls off here within the context of this psalm. And notice what this leads to then, the praise element of this psalm in verse number 10. The righteous one rejoices in Yahweh and takes refuge in him. What does David ask for? David asks to be hidden by God. Here we see that that is exactly what happens. There is refuge found in him. All those who are upright in heart, not scheming, wicked people, not evildoers, but those who are upright in heart will offer praise. And again, what a beautiful conclusion to this section of deliverance psalms. That yes, there are wicked people, but in the face of wicked people, in the face of adversaries who tend to do the blameless harm, the instruction here is to call out to God, to cry out to God and beg that he hear your voice and seek the protection that he provides, and know that he is not missing the evil of the wicked person, that they are not actually concealed, but God certainly sees them, and that every evil thing they're going to do, God is going to turn on their own heads. He's going to pull a grand reversal, just as he has done for so long in the course of human history, reversing things that were dead into things that were alive, reversing curses into blessings, and all things of that nature. And at the end of the day, people will see that, and their fear will no longer be for the evil person, but will be for God. And they will see God's justice. They will see his righteousness. And those who are upright, those who rely upon him, will have opportunities to praise God for his tremendous deliverance and his tremendous blessings. If you have any questions about Psalm 64 or any of the Psalms we've read recently, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And I appreciate you taking some time reading along with me today on this Monday, Memorial Day. Speaking of memorial or remembering, it is Jackie's birthday today. So very happy birthday to you, Miss Jackie. Thank you for the great work you do in our church family, especially the work that you do with the youngsters. We appreciate you greatly. Hope you have a great day, and hope everybody is able to enjoy this day. Hope most everybody is able to spend some time with family, maybe doing a little barbecuing, maybe a little grilling, whatever it is. I hope that you enjoy this day, and just remember that we will be back reading together on Wednesday as we get together reading Psalm 65. God's Care for the Earth is the title in my Bible. Again, it's going to be very much a different tone from the last few readings that we've had, but I'm very much looking forward to continuing our work through the Psalter. Again, thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your Monday. God bless you in all that you do, and hope to see you Wednesday. Take care.